Hi. I am showing you this book because I just got it. I want to learn more about brioche, and this looked like a really nice book. It has more than just plain brioche in it, but I figure if I'm learning brioche, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do brioche. And I'm not real fancy. I know how to do one stitch in brioche, and that's it. And so I guess we will kind of learn together, which will be kind of fun. But this looked like a nice, fun book. It has lots of information in the front and stitches, how to do them. And then it has patterns in the back that you can try. So when I teach a class, I always tell people, if you can buy yarn and just do something really easy over and over and over and over. For example, when I teach knitting, I teach how to make a scarf, and all we do is the knit stitch. And so that's basically what we're going to do here with brioche. I'm also going to start with just the brioche knit. And I will show you some of the things that it talks about brioche knit. We're not going to learn brioche purl. We're not going to use two color. We're going to use one color, and we're going to do brioche knit. And just like with other classes I teach, we build on those things, and so we're going to build with the brioche also. So brioche is kind of an interesting kind of stitch. It is very squishy, very warm, extremely warm. So if you live in a cold climate, it's really nice. But brioche is a little bit tricky at first because it's different than just plain knitting. It uses a lot of the same techniques, but just a little bit different. So, and you can see from the pages, this is fisherman's rib, and I've done a lot of fisherman's rib, but I've not done a lot of brioche, just a little bit. So we're going to work on brioche, getting our brioche a little bit better. When you start with the plain brioche stitch, brioche knit is called bark, B-R-K, or it's yarn front, slip one, yarn over. So either way you see this in a pattern, that's what it means. And we're going to go ahead and cast on some stitches, and then I'm going to show you how to do it. The book shows you how to do it with the English or American, the Continental or German, and then it also does the Eastern uncrossed method. I'm just going to do the English American. So let's go ahead. We do know how to cast on. There's nothing fancy about when you do brioche knit for casting on. So I'm going to cast on, I think I'm going to do 20 stitches. I'm hoping that'll be enough for a scarf. So you know how to do the long tail. If you want, you can make your twist, but I just go ahead and hold it up here. My short tail, let's put my yarn over here so we can keep a distinction. My long tail going to my working yarn is to my right, and then my short tail is to my left. And so what we do is we go ahead and take our needle under. First of all, I guess I should show you how to do this. Put it so that your yarn is basically like that. It wraps from your long, around your finger, around your thumb, and then to your left. And so once you have that, we go ahead and put our needle under the yarn between our thumb and our finger. And we're going to wrap to the left under the tail that's on our thumb, and then over the yarn that's around our finger. And we're going to bring it through and tighten it up. Let's do that again. So those are 2 stitches. 1, 2. So we bring it to the left, clear past the first yarn over to the second yarn on our thumb, and then to the first yarn on our finger and pull it through. That's 2. Let's do it again. I'm going to cast on all 20 stitches with you because this is something I don't think we've done in our classes. So I take my needle past the yarn coming off of my needle around my thumb to the second thread yarn. I'm going to go over. Oh, I'm sorry. I go under. Sorry. Go under. And then grab that stitch and pull it through. So we have 4. Let's do it again. I go over, come up between the two, grab this one and take it down between those two. There's 5. Over, catch, 6. And this is a very useful cast on. It's fairly stretchy. It kind of makes a nice cast on. Now, with the brioche, I'm going to take these off because we've already kind of shown you how to do that. With the brioche, it's a very stretchy knit, so I'm actually going to cast on with 2 needles, and now that you kind of know how we're doing it, it'll be a little bit easier. So I go ahead and take my 2 needles up, I take them over. It's exactly like casting on with 1 needle, except that you're getting a very wide cast on, and this is what you want with the brioche. So we're going to go over, catch, and bring through. So there's 3. We're going to go over, up, catch, and pull through. There's 4, over, through, 5, over, up, through, 6, over, up, through, 7. And if you need to slow down, when you're watching YouTube, there's a place that you can slow everything down to 1/4 of its speed, or you can speed it up to twice its speed. So if you need to slow it down, go ahead and slow this down. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to take my needle, over, up, grab that stitch and pull it through. Let's do it again. Over, up, grab that stitch, pull it through. Let me grab some more yarn here. So I want to go over, up, grab that yarn, pull it through, and let's count them to see how many we have on. I'm putting on 20 because I'm going to make a scarf. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we're going to go over, up, pull. That's 11. Over, up, pull. That's 12. Every once in a while you might want to just kind of let your yarn go so that because it will start to untwist. And if you keep it twisted, it's a lot easier to work with. Okay, we have 12, I think. So let's go over, up, grab that, 13, over, up, 14, over, up, 15, over, up, 16, over, up, 17. I might cast on more than 20. Over, up, 18, 19, oops, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 30, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay, now I'm hoping I might do a couple more. Let's do 2 more. 32. See, we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants. And I'm going to count them now just to make sure I have enough. So I count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32. Okay, so we have 32 stitches on here. Now, I've turned mine around. It was like this when I was casting on. I've turned it around, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully hold my stitches so that they don't pull off of my needles. But I'm going to take the bottom one and I'm going to pull it out gently. And what we have is we have our cast on stitches that have been cast on very loosely. Now, I am going to show you in the book, let's move that aside. Many times when they're doing the brioche stitch, they will cast on an odd number of stitches because they will put stitches at each end to make the end look really nice. I'm not worried about that right now. We are just going to go ahead and we're going to just learn the stitch. And while we learn our stitch, we're going to go ahead and make a scarf. Because while we make our scarf, we're going to be practicing our stitch. And once we've made a scarf, you've done enough of this stitch that it will become muscle memory. And that's why I tell people when I'm teaching them how to knit, a lot of people want to start with knitting socks. No, I won't do that. If someone else wants to do that, that's fine. But if you start to learn the stitches and they just become a habit, when you get to the point where you're ready to make mittens or sweaters or even socks, socks are one of the hardest things to do. When you get to that point, you will have already memorized the other stitches, so you won't be fighting to learn to make a knit stitch and a purl stitch, as well as how to turn your heel or how to knit purl together. So we always start out easy and then we work our way up. So when we're doing just a plain brioche, nothing fancy, we're just going to do plain brioche, you want to start with your working yarn in front of your needle, and you're going to slip the first stitch as if to purl. So you take tip to tip and you slip the first stitch. After you've done that, we're going to wrap that stitch to the back, and it's not going to stay right now, but what I do is I will go ahead as if to knit the second stitch, and then I will wrap it, and you can kind of see it has wrapped with that first stitch that I slipped. Okay, and that's all it basically is. You bring it to the front, slip one stitch, go to knit, and since your yarn is in the front, you carry it to the back and knit that stitch. And you can see we have two yarns. So we're going to bring our yarn to the front again, slip that stitch, and I don't worry about taking it back. A lot of people want you to take it back right away. I don't, because once you go to knit the second stitch, you have to take it to the back anyway to knit that stitch. So the big thing is to make sure and bring it to the front after you've knit a stitch. Okay, so bring it to the front, slip, go to knit, and you've automatically wrapped it. Bring it to the front, slip, go to knit, and it goes around anyway. So you don't have to worry about, once you've pulled it here, you don't have to wrap it back. You just have to hold it in the front while you slip. And then prepare to knit. Because our knit stitches, our yarn is always at the back anyway, so once we go ahead and take that to the back, we've done a knit. Let's do it again. Bring it to the front, slip, prepare to knit, knit. Bring it to the front, slip, and then knit the next stitch. Bring it to the front, slip, knit. Okay, so see, as you do this, you get muscle memory build up. And that means that your hands start to remember what you're doing. And then you're going to bring it to the front, slip, knit, bring it to the front, slip, knit, bring it to the front, slip, knit, bring your yarn to the front, slip, knit, bring it to the front, slip, knit. Okay, so we have done a setup row, actually. And now basically all it is pretty much that same stitch. And we're going to go ahead and continue on. So it's the same thing. We just basically make sure our yarn's in the front, which it's hard when I'm using double points, but we're going to slip. Now, when you come to this stitch, this is a double stitch, and we want to pick up both of those threads. And then we're going to go ahead and knit. So again, pull your yarn to the front. When you see the bump, that's been a knit stitch, a slipped stitch, sorry. So we want to slip that again, and then we want to go ahead and knit those two together. And that's pretty much all you're doing. You're going to bring your yarn to the front. You're going to slip the stitch with the bump. And then the two stitches that are together, you're going to knit those. Let's do it again. Bring your yarn to the front. Slip the stitch that has the bump. And then you'll have two stitches that are together. We're going to knit those two stitches together. Bring your yarn to the front. Slip the stitch that has the bump. And then knit the two stitches together. Bring it to the front, slip your bump, and you have two stitches. Knit those two together. Bring it to the front, slip, knit two together. Bring your yarn to the front, slip, knit two together. Now, don't be frustrated. Bring your yarn to the front, slip and knit. Don't be frustrated because it takes maybe four to six rows before you start to see your pattern, and it just kind of looks messy right now. But if I stop in the middle and I put this down, the way I can tell what I'm doing when I pick it back up is there I have a bump on my stitch. So I know to bring my yarn forward, I know to slip that, and then I know to go ahead and knit those two stitches together. Bring it forward, slip it, and go ahead and knit. Now, if I had brought my yarn forward and slipped and I had to set it down quickly, baby's crying or whatever, I don't have a baby, but just say your baby's crying and you just hurry. When you come back, you can see that you have your two stitches and they kind of look like an X. That means that you've already brought your stitch forward, your yarn forward, you've already slipped your stitch, so all you have to do is knit that. And that's how you can tell if you've had to set your work down quickly and you just have to think, oh, do I have to start all over because I don't remember what I did? No, just look at your stitches and you'll be okay. And I'm using double points right now because I think that's all I need to do this scarf. I'm using a size 8 with worsted wool. And I'm at another end. There we go. So I'm going to pull that. And you can kind of see it just looks messy right now. There are no stitches to look at. But as we get going about number 4, 5, 6 row, then you'll be okay. Now my yarn is in front. It would be in back if I pushed it at the back, but I'm going to keep it in the front. I'm going to slip, and when I go to knit, then I take my yarn over my needle and I knit those two. Again, front, slip, knit. Now, did you see the difference? Front. This one has a bar across it, but it looks like there's 2 bars across it. That's perfectly fine. That's the one you want to slip. And this one, it looks like the X. Yarns crossing, you're going to go ahead and knit those. Okay, front, slip, knit. Front, slip, knit. Front, slip, knit. You're always kind of knitting 2 stitches together at one time. You slip 1 stitch, you knit 2 together. So I'm going to bring that forward. I'm going to slip and knit. Slip, and knit, slip and knit. The big thing is to remember to bring your yarn forward. It's not going to work if you don't bring your yarn forward because you won't get that yarn over. So forward, slip, knit, forward, slip, knit, forward, slip, knit, forward, slip, knit, forward, slip, and that's the last of our third row. Now, you might be able to see your stitches, not quite yet. You still have to do a couple more rows. Let's go ahead and do another row or two. I will stop my camera, and I'm going to finish 2 rows, and I'm going to suggest you do the same. I'll be back in just a little bit, and we'll be able to see our pattern develop. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done 4 rows, and I hope you can see this. This is starting to become my fabric, and it's very squishy. You can see the stitches here, and on the other side they're going to be pretty much the exact, only in a different area. So what's here gets jogged over to here, so it goes here, and then when you turn it over, that's the underside, the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and let you continue with this. If you need help with the stitches again, just rewind and watch it through again. But this is all there is, and you can make a very pretty scarf, very warm scarf, just with this stitch alone, just with the bark, the Brioche Knit Stitch. We don't have to purl, we don't have to do anything, and it's not like when we do knitting and we do knit on one side and knit on the other side, we get the bumps. This just goes ahead and it's pretty uniform, it's pretty even. So go ahead and knit as long as you need to make your scarf, because the more you practice this stitch, the easier it'll be when we move on to another piece. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll be back again. Bye-bye.